The Whisper Nest presents Soba, the Squirrel and the Secret of Autumn. Soba was a small squirrel with tufted ears and soft fur. Her tail, long and full, curled like a question mark when she sat up to listen. And Soba did a great deal of listening. It was early autumn in the forest. The air was gentle, cool, and golden. The leaves had begun to turn. One by one they fluttered down like paper boats drifting toward the forest floor. Soba was preparing for the long season ahead. She had begun her autumn gathering, as all squirrels do. But Soba did it a little differently. Each morning, before the sun rose above the tallest pine, Soba would perch on a flat stone near her favorite sycamore tree and sit very still. She would close her eyes, curl her tail around her paws, and breathe. Soba didn't listen with her ears alone. She listened with her whole body. She could feel the hickory nuts dropping 4 trees away before she ever heard the thump. She could sense the hum of a mushroom rising after the last rain. She could even feel, in the far-off rustle of leaves, the soft footfalls of a young deer moving through the underbrush. Some called it instinct. Others called it wild knowing. But Soba knew it was something older, something passed on, not by words, but by memory folded into fur and paw and pine needle. The forest spoke, and she remembered. That morning, the wind carried the scent of black walnuts, sharp, earthy, bitter. They would be ready soon. Soba stretched her limbs and scrambled up the bark of the sycamore. Its branches were long and white-veined, twisting toward the light. Below, the forest stirred. In the gathering season, squirrels do more than collect. They plant, they forget, and by forgetting, they give. Every buried acorn not reclaimed becomes the start of something new, a secret seedling, a forest in waiting. Soba knew this. She placed each acorn with care, pressing it into the soil, covering it with her small paws. Before moving on, she would close her eyes again and listen, not for danger, not for sound, but for connection. Was this the right spot? Did the earth say yes? Some days, the answers came easily. Other days, she had to wait. That morning, as she paused beside a mossy stump, she heard something unexpected. A trembling note, high and faint, like a string plucked in the wind. It wasn't a bird. It wasn't a branch. It was something older than sound. She turned her head slowly. The trees were whispering too, not in words, but in motion. Birch leaves twirled like dancers. Maple leaves flared with amber and flame. High above, the oaks dropped their acorns, one by one, each with a sound like a tiny drumbeat. Soba found one near a patch of wild ginger. She sniffed it, turned it gently in her paws, then buried it beneath the ginger's heart-shaped leaves. That's when she heard another sound, not of the forest, but from memory. Her grandmother's voice, soft and rhythmic. September days are here, with summer's best of weather and autumn's best of cheer. The goldenrod is yellow, the corn is turning brown, the trees in apple orchards with fruit are bending down. Soba smiled. She did not remember all the lines, but the rhythm lived inside her. The sun moved slowly overhead, casting long shadows that stretched like quiet animals across the forest floor. In the distance, geese called out in their high sky voices. Soba tilted her head and listened. The sound echoed in her chest like wind through hollow bark. Migration had begun. The sky itself was shifting. Soba made her way to the stream. It was low this time of year, its voice quiet and murmuring. She bent to drink and paused. A ripple moved against the current. A pebble had shifted. She looked up and saw a figure on the other side of the stream. A porcupine, large and slow-moving, dipped its snout into the water. It did not look at her, but Soba felt the same sensation, the quiet chord, a resonance, as if the stream itself was the string, and all who drank from it vibrated in tune. She did not speak, she only listened. The porcupine turned, water dripping from its whiskers, and lumbered back into the trees. Above her, a hawk circled once, then disappeared behind a cloud. The sun was lower now, the golden hour. Every leaf shimmered, every stone glowed. The air was filled with tiny insects, catching the last warmth of the light. Soba returned to her nest, an old crow's hollow, repurposed with moss, feathers, and dried ferns. She placed a few prized nuts inside, lining them up carefully. Then she stepped back out onto the limb and looked around. From here, she could see far. The beaches below her were rustling with chipmunks. The wind carried distant calls. The scent of wood smoke rose from a hidden hollow. And somewhere beyond the hills, a thundercloud rumbled softly, too far to fear. Everything was moving. Everything was connected. She was gathering and being gathered. She was preparing and being prepared. The whisper of her grandmother's voice returned again, not in words this time, but in feeling. Soba curled her tail around her feet and closed her eyes. The seed becomes the tree. The tree becomes the leaf. The leaf becomes the soil. The soil becomes the seed. Some called it the circle of life, others the turning of the seasons. But Soba knew it was more than a circle. It was a spiral, ever deepening, ever remembering. In her dreams that night, Soba floated above the forest canopy. She saw threads, thin and glowing, stretching from root to root, burrow to den, wing to star. The mycelium glowed beneath the earth, the same color as the starlight above. She drifted, and the forest whispered her name. And as sleep settled across the woods, a hush fell. Leaves tucked in close, branches stilled, the river quieted, and all around, hidden in nests and hollows, creatures dreamed of what they had known before they were born, of how to gather, of how to give, of how to listen to the land and hear